WIBTA, WWBTAH for refusing to go to my brother-in-law's destination wedding after his fiancée wore white to my wedding. A little background: my 32F husband, 38M, we'll call him Dan, has one brother, 33M, we'll call him Jordan, whom he has never gotten along with. Dan isn't much of a sharer, so I don't know all the details. All I know is that according to Dan and Jordan's aunt, Jordan was horrible to Dan growing up. Jordan is also notoriously disliked and known to just not be a good person by just about everyone I've met that also know him. Their own grandmother warned me about him before we met. Now Jordan is not just unpleasant, he is a fully hatched bigot. Now I'm not usually very confrontational, I have the people-pleasing disease, but after a few drinks, I'm a tad more flippant with my opinion. Over Christmas, Jordan made a comment about people of other races not being real people, and I lost it, but the meanest thing I said was, "Thank goodness you live somewhere your opinion doesn't really matter, they live in a very very blue state." He responded that I didn't matter, lol, so I just got up and walked away to help his fiancée, 25F, we'll call her Katie, wash the dishes. I apologized to her, in my mind for having to deal with Jordan, but in her mind, it was for yelling at him, and she responded with something along the lines of, "No, I'm sorry, I wish I believed in something that much." I thought that was a little odd, but we were all pretty intoxicated, so I just didn't pay much mind to that comment. I also agreed to be nice to Jordan for the rest of the evening, mostly to keep my MIL, who I love, happy. The rest of the evening, Jordan sulked in the corner, and while Katie, my MIL and FIL, Dan and I opened gifts, chatted and had a generally good time, considering what had happened. Some background on Katie I feel is important to the story. She's one of those women that looks like a real housewife. Not in a bad way, she just looks all glammed up, and is always wearing designer clothes / bags, and expensive jewelry. She actually looks a lot like a younger Brandi Glanville from Rob. I like nice things as well, but am much more the type to live in sweatpants unless I need to go somewhere that requires real pants. She's also very loud and loves to be the center of attention. Meanwhile, I'm dreading my own wedding day simply because of all the people looking at me. Katie and I really couldn't be more different, and I didn't necessarily see her as a bad thing at first, but there was something about her that rubbed me the wrong way and I just couldn't put my finger on. I was a little weary of anyone willing to date someone like Jordan, and I just had this weird feeling that Katie didn't actually like me, or was trying to one-up me in some way. That feeling probably came from the fact that Jordan and Katie got engaged 2 months after Dan and I and set their wedding to August of this year, 6 months after ours. I've seen enough Charlotte videos to know that maybe I was just being insecure or projecting or something, so I just kept those feelings to myself and tried my best to befriend my future SIL. But it just seemed so odd to me because Jordan and Dan's parents had absolutely no idea Jordan was even considering proposing. Things started to get weird though when I invited her to my bachelorette party via my MOH who was planning it, and her response was, "Thanks, but I already celebrated her in Nashville." Nashville was a trip we're both invited on with my MIL to visit MIL's sister and our future female cousin since they lived there. It was a semi-celebration for me, but more of a girls and the family trip, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. But fine, we don't live in the same state, and even though my bachelorette was a local one-day thing on a weekend, I understand it's a trip for her and not everyone can take off work, afford to make the trip. I was still a little hurt, but again, was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. Keep in mind though, all this was before the Christmas chaos, but again, after the blow-up Katie and I seemed to be getting along fine. Surprisingly well, in fact, and I actually started to think maybe we could be friends. Flash forward to Dan and I's wedding day. The way the venue was laid out, I was able to see all the guests arriving and taking their seats from my getting ready suite. So I'm standing at the window, watching people arrive, getting pumped to marry the man of my dreams, and in walks Jordan and Katie in a white dress. I immediately just started laughing, simultaneously in disbelief and also not surprised. The night goes on and the vast majority of people in attendance, at least on our friend's side, were absolutely appalled. My wedding planner was livid and the bartenders even asked me, unprovoked, if I would like them to spill a drink or two on her. Honestly, at the time, I felt so vindicated and relieved that my instincts about her were correct. I told them not to worry about it. I mean, at this point, I feel like if you wear white to someone else's wedding, everyone there knows exactly the kind of person you are. The funniest part, I found this out later, that my MOH confronted her and said, "Why would you wear white to a wedding?" And she goes, "It's not white, it's cream. I would never wear white to a wedding." Picture attached is of a similar dress in the same color for reference. Now that a couple of days have gone by and I've had some time to stew, I realize how incredibly disrespectful that really was. I mean, she's either as stupid as she looked in that dress and didn't realize the dress wasn't appropriate, or she did it intentionally. So anyway, now on to the WIBTA part of the post. Jordan and Katie are getting married in August. It's a 4-day destination wedding in the Bahamas and would cost a minimum of $1,800, between the hotel and flight, for Dan and I to attend. I know this would really upset my MIL, but Dan and I really do not want to go. If it were in their hometown, we would just suck it up for MIL, but the idea of taking time off work and spending almost $2,000 to celebrate people who don't even hesitate to hurt us on our own wedding is not necessarily on my bingo card for 2025. I don't want to ruin my relationship with my MIL and FIL because they really are wonderful people, but I also refuse to spend the rest of my life being disrespected by Jordan and Katie, so I feel like we need to set the boundary now before it gets worse. So please tell me, lovely potatoes. WIBTA, if we refuse to go to my BL's wedding after his fiancée wore a white dress to my wedding? Update 2. Creating a separate post because apparently Reddit doesn't let you edit posts with pictures. First, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who commented. I did not expect to get this much support from a group of strangers, and I appreciate every single one of you who offered advice, shared their own experience, and just made me laugh about the whole situation. This community really is something special, but that's not surprising considering how awesome Charlotte is. Of course she would have the best potatoes. Also, I learned from my last post and separated the paragraphs, so hopefully this won't be another wall of text. Okay, on to the update. Dan and I have decided we are not going to attend the wedding. As fun and petty as it would be to go and wear the same or a similar white dress, or to go and announce a pregnancy, I know in the end that would just hurt me and the in-laws I actually like more than it would Jordan and Katie. Plus their wedding guest list is 220 people, and if even half of them are like J and K, well, who knows what they would do if I showed up in white, I mean cream. There are a few family members on DH's side that we know aren't invited. I know, a 220-person destination wedding, and they couldn't even include the whole family, so we may go visit them during that weekend instead. As for MIL and FIL, we are planning to talk to them this weekend and are just going to be honest about why we don't want to go. I didn't mention this in my original post because I didn't think it was relevant, but MIL and FIL are fairly well off. They would 100% offer to cover the cost of the entire trip if we tried to use the excuse that we just can't afford it right now, so we might as well just tell them the truth up front. Fingers crossed that they can see our side of things and also realize that what Katie did was not only disrespectful to Dan and I, but to MIL as well. It is no secret MIL wants that big happy family, so to do something so blatantly inappropriate at what could have been the start of mending a relationship, seems like a slap in the face to her as well. Plus we genuinely fear what drama they would stir up once kids are involved, so we agree with everyone saying we need to set the boundary now before it gets worse. I will definitely provide another update, hopefully on this no picture post, after we have the talk. I also got to talk with my photographer this morning and share some of your amazing ideas with her, and she was loving it. She confirmed that Katie was only featured in 2 pictures and then in the background of a few others, so she said she'll send me the unedited photos first and then we can have fun. Update 3. Gather round, fellow potatoes, as Charlotte would say, we have an update. Before I start, I feel compelled to share, in case anyone was wondering, that Dan is 100% supportive of me sharing this story with all of you. I introduced him to Charlotte when we first started dating, and we often watch her videos together. The morning after the wedding, when we were discussing everything, he goes, "Well, on the bright side, at least you have a story for the subreddit." Quick background: I mentioned in a comment or two but not in either of my posts because I was trying not to ramble, but I realize now is relevant. After the Christmas blow-up, Dan had told Mael that we really did not want to invite Jordan and Katie to our wedding. We had invited people from all different types of backgrounds and did not want Jordan to say or do anything that would make anyone feel uncomfortable. Mael begged and pleaded, saying that Jordan would never, that she would watch him like a hawk all night, that she would disown him if he ever did anything, etc. And you all know the result of that conversation. So I learned a couple of new things about Katie and Jordan's behavior at the wedding. I heard from a few different people that K and J were being snarky and dismissive to guests, including to some of my family. I don't know exactly what was said, but I do know that the bartenders had to cut Jordan off halfway through the reception because of how much he was starting to act up. Now, you can do whatever you want to hurt me, that's one thing. But as a proud Italian American, don't you dare fuck with my family. That was truly the last straw. I told Dan what happened and we were both on the same page that we are absolutely not going to their wedding under any circumstances. We had kind of already made the decision, but we both knew there could be a way Mael could talk us into it. Not anymore, it was going to be a hard no. After finding all this out, I finally broke down about the situation and after a good cry, decided I needed to go on a nice long run. Well, while I was running, my amazing DH took it upon himself to give his mom a call and have the talk right then. And it went surprisingly well. Apparently, she didn't even argue, not once. She completely understood why we wouldn't go, based on the dress incident alone, and said she had no idea why Katie would do such a thing. When DH told her about Jordan being rude and getting cut off at the wedding, she was mortified and apologized profusely. She even acknowledged that something like that was exactly why we didn't want to invite them in the first place, and she was so sorry. Mael is not a subtle person, she's basically a combo of Kitty from that 70s show and Mrs. Weasley from Harry Potter, so if she didn't agree with us or understand our point of view, she would let us know. And probably call me directly. But she didn't, so I do truly believe, if she blames anyone, she does not fault us for this decision. What do you think? Tell us in the comments. Like the video and hit the subscribe button for more Reddit stories.